Hello Pisces, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for March. This is for the Sun or the Ascendant. Now I'm going to give you the key details to look out for, but then please stay with me. I will dive much deeper and give you in forensic detail all the key dates and information that are really pertinent to your sign and what an exciting month is in store for you. This is about as good as it gets, to be honest, Pisces, for you, because at the start of this month your two co-regents of Jupiter and Neptune are in your sign, but for the first 9 days Jupiter is joined by the Sun, and within 3 degrees they're travelling together. Now there's also a new moon in your sign on the 2nd, so even more glory. Jupiter is about expansion, adventure, it's about knowledge. In your sign, very much to do with healing and spirituality in conjunction with Neptune. But when you put it with the Sun, we're talking about reinforcing your physical body because it's the first house. So the great news to tell you this month is that your energy is going to be on the up. Now, there are some other intricate details to share with you that are going to provide more texture and colour and detail in this story. So please stay with me for that. But if you are new to my channel, it would be lovely if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. Every time I drop a video, you'll get an alert. And secondly, if you'd like to get your free written daily horoscope fired to your device each morning, please see the subscription link beneath this video. I've been writing these for years, 25 years. And I think I'm a bit unique in terms of the YouTube astrologers doing these. So it'd be great to have you with me. Finally, if you would like to go beyond this Zodiac broadcast and investigate more serious astrology, you can order your 12-month forecast and character analysis based on your time, date and place of birth by seeing the link beneath this video. You can get 30% off. This will help you to gain searing insights into how planetary activity now is impacting on what you were given when you were born. It's very unique and no two charts are the same, and you can get 30% off. So please see that link below. So Pisces, welcome to your monthly horoscope for March. It really gives me a thrill to tell you about this combination between the Sun and Jupiter. Jupiter traditionally in astrology was linked to luck. It's known as the greater benefic. But also at the start of this month, the lesser benefic, Venus, is also in a very alluring combination with Mars, the planet of more sexual drive. Venus is the more attracting energy, but together they come into an alliance with Pluto on the 3rd. Wow. The 11th house is very much about your future, but it can be about friends. The Sun combining with Jupiter is going to give you more physical vitality, a lot of enthusiasm, and also the push to venture into new possibilities. But that doesn't mean to say your chart is all travelling in one direction. Astrology always has contra energies. That's just the way it is. And of course you have Saturn in your 12th solar house, and close to that at the start of this month is Mercury, the planet of thought and talk. So because the 12th house can be more reflective, more to do with our shadow, and it can be this combination a bit worrisome, there may be something that's niggling in the back of your mind which is competing for the thrust that the Sun, Jupiter and the new moon at the 2nd are really giving you to make big steps forwards. And that wonderful collection of Venus, Mars and Pluto in your sector of friendships, sociability and the longer term future, they're primed up beautifully as well. But then there's Saturn just limiting your thinking. So how do you deal with this? Well, with such an overwhelmingly positive horoscope at the start of this month, I think you just need to actually accept that Jupiter can, at times, make us almost have much enlarged expectations, and that isn't always a good thing. I remember driving once a few years ago and listening to someone, that's right, I was in a car and someone was reading out the stars in the back of the car. And it was just when, I think, when Jupiter had moved before, and it was talking about how it was going to be for Aries. Let's say it was in Libra. And basically the prediction was that the next year was going to bring a dream match into play. Well, if only it was that simple. What Jupiter does is give us the conditions to make things happen. But we must be realistic, but crucially, we must really work hard. So when Jupiter's with the Sun, it's asking you to focus on what makes you different, individual, not about how you comply to someone else's reality. So it's about marching to the sound of your own drums. But if you do that with a touch of realism, that's just actually being really sensible. So I think if there is a bit of niggling doubt in the back of your mind, just accept that that's normal. That's what makes us all human. We can't be continually, totally convinced that everything's going to turn out wonderfully well, because we know from experience that life, it's not something we can control totally for a start of, and also it does provide some hard knocks along the way. But within the hard knocks, within the reality, the Sun's combination with Jupiter is very bountiful, it's very reinforcing, and it gives you a massive opportunity. But you need to do the work to make it work for you. But then, we have that new moon, which is great, because I think you may give yourself some kind of glamorous makeover. You may let someone know that you're really drawn to them. You may do something that's a bit more pushing you outside your comfort zone. But then on the 6th, Venus and Mars move into your 12th house. What does this mean? I think it's possible, not necessarily this month, but certainly in the early part of April, by then, that someone from your past may come back into your thinking or into your physical world in a very powerful way. Equally, there is the potential for a relationship that you're in now to come to a close because it isn't working. Now, Venus and Mars together is a very alluring mix. The 12th house can be about secret alliances, secret sexual meetups, if you like, and clandestine relationships. But equally, it can be when we're starting to think deeper down into what we're getting in a more spiritual and psychological sense in our love life. So, for example, if we're really attracted to someone, they're absolutely gorgeous, they may be absolutely lovely, but if we can't really feel our heart pumping with excitement when we're around them, that gives us a bit of a clue as to whether this is something that really inspires our passion. I'm not talking about sexual passion, just the love of being around this person. So if that's lacking in a relationship, I think that combination between Venus and Mars is asking you to think about it. But the combination between the Sun and Jupiter is asking you to do something about it, not think about it, take some action. And action can be very exciting. So I think some parts of your situation, whether it's entrepreneurial, about where you live, where you work, how you dress, your hairstyle, the people you hang around with, can be very dynamic, but there may be other very tender areas of your life that either need to be thought through and come to terms with, and when you come to terms with, become settled and move on, or perhaps there is the potential for some things to finish, but also for some new things to begin, but rather low key to begin with. So there are different scenarios there, obviously, that you can pick out. But once Mercury moves into your sign on the 10th, you are going to start to feel that you're more in the present, whatever you're trying to do in terms of your thinking. But from the 16th to the 20th, we have a fantastic link between the Sun in your sign and Pluto. This sextile is one of the most potent in astrology. I wouldn't call it lucky because I don't think it's anything to do with luck at all. Pluto's about transformation, but it's about power. Your 11th house is your future forward situation, or your associations, your networks. The first house is you, the individual, but they're aligning beautifully. So it's kind of saying to you that if you do want to take more power for yourself around your future, this aspect can help you. But if you're in a situation where too much of the time you're people pleasing or your friends and you're not feeding your own need to be an individual, then Pluto's pushing you to make some changes. So it's very, very potent. And sometimes with Pluto, even if we feel we observe what it's trying to manifest in our lives, we can still try to stick with how it is, but Pluto won't have anything of it. And sometimes things can be changed about our lives, even if we're not choosing it. And then in the future, we look back and we realise that Pluto sensed or evoked something within us that did need to change, that we just weren't conscious of at that time. So big, deep stuff for sure. But that brings us to the full moon of the 18th, because that's activating your sector of relationships. But Jupiter's still in the mix. But if there is a relationship which is not feeding you, it doesn't have to be a romantic one. It could be a friend, it could be a business colleague, it could be a business partnership, it could be a family member. If someone's not getting this need for you to really focus seriously on what's important to you, the individual, it's going to come up from that full moon for the following 2 weeks. But Jupiter is continuing to give you the message to believe, to have faith that it can work out for you, even if you are looking to make some significant changes. But as Venus and Mars have progressed forwards in the sign of Aquarius, they do start to move into a rather tricky right angle with Uranus, the planet of razzle-dazzle, in your case, the third house, that's been over-arousing your nervous system over the last few years. So we get a 12th third house influence, and that could mean that something of a very tender or confidential or even secret nature that's been simmering beneath the surface, either deep within you or deep within someone you're involved with, could burst into the surface from the 18th to the 27th, particularly with Mars and Uranus aggravating each other, because that's a very highly adrenal influence. Mars takes action. The 12th house is very reactive. Issues that we thought we dealt with and were dormant can suddenly burst into the open and seem to be controlling us like one of those little radio cars. We thought we had it all sorted, but no, that hurt, that insult, that breakup for many years before with that particular zodiac sign that we're never having anything to do with again. But I've all dealt with it. I've moved on. I've got no luggage, no baggage. Luggage, it's just a joke. We got no baggage, but actually Mars in the 12th house suggests we have. And a conversation can activate a point of rawness within you. And suddenly all these emotions can be really on fire, to be honest, and it can be very uncomfortable. But the thing with Uranus, it's the planet of truth, and for you in the third house, it's how you think. Mars in the 12th house is your psychology, but Mars obviously is about impatience, it's about desire, it's about instant gratification. So it's very reactive in the 12th house, not particularly happy in the 12th house. If we have Mars in Pisces in a natal chart, people often do something that's quite subterranean, like they're a deep sea diver, or they may be involved in reclamation in a way where they dive down deep to extract their kind of life force and purpose. But 12th third house is quite abrasive, so something can come up into the open in the latter part of this month. But the vernal equinox on the 20th sees the sun move into the last of its 13-week cardinal quadrants, and this begins the new astrological year. But for you, it's the second house. This is about the foundations in your world. It's very Taurus. So all that individuality that's been throbbing around your situation this month can now be turned into something more constructive and long-lasting with the help of this vernal equinox. And then Mercury joins up with the sun on the 27th, and that can see your financial situation start to produce results if you really invested in that great idea, that great individuality, that great talent, or you've redefined your life purpose in a much more individual way. You're not leading your life just to be a good egg, because a lot of Pisces people do exhaust themselves being very self-sacrificing on behalf of those who are less fortunate, which is incredible. And without Pisces people, the world would fall to pieces. But it's about finding a balance between what's right for you, the individual, and where you want to give. If you want to give, that's good. Just know when to say no. And so that you don't end up being an exhausted battery hen. You're a lovely, fresh, sprightly, free-range, organic laying bird. And that means that you have the energy then to focus on what you need for you. And that's really quite amazing that the month does see the vernal equinox in the end, because all that Aries energy which is buzzing around your situation with the Sun and Jupiter together in your sign, and then the Sun moves into Aries. So an incredible month of promise for you, but of course it won't be perfect. But with Jupiter's help, it can be damn good. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe, take care, and goodbye.